afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the State of La Grange for 2022. I'm Sarah Boyce. I'm the current La Grange Business Association president and owner of Boyce Chiropractic, which many of you may know. Today we have fantastic panelists. I'm so excited for the group that we put together today. We could not do this with numerous people that are in this room today. So, Nancy Cummings, Wade, Executive Director of the LGA. Where's Lori? Lori's in the back. Larissa, who's currently taking my picture. She is our Business Education Chair. And we will have Stephanie Posey up here in a minute. She's our moderator for today. She's the current Vice President of the Grange Business Association. I want to thank the Village for their support. I want to thank Plymouth Place for hosting us today in this beautiful space. I want to thank all the panelists that are going to be up here today. We're looking forward to their insight for the future of our community, what the forecast may hold for us. We want to know what's happening now, what's happening 3 months, 6 months from now. So I'm excited for what our panelists have to say. Today we are so honored to have a big community supporter. He has been sponsoring this event for many years. He is a previous president to the La Grange Business Association. He has supported through sponsorship and community activation our community and the LGBA for years. So Ryan Williamson is our sponsor today. Come on up. Thank you, Ryan.
Sarah, thank you so much. We'll do this because I have notes. I was reminded a few minutes ago that last year I fried out the system, if anybody remembers all the technical issues I created. So hopefully it's not me. Hopefully it's Mike McNamara that caused that, but we'll see. First, I want to point out that Sarah has been a tremendous president for the LGBA for her term, and her term is winding down in the next few months. So I want to give a round of applause and congratulations early. And I'm bookended, so I'm going to introduce then the future president after I'm done with my 20 to 25 minute speech, so I'm excited for that. But I want to thank the LGBA, I want to thank all the panelists for being here, all of you of course. It's one of the most informational events that I attend every year, which is why I'm happy to continue to support it. It will be nice to have an event like this when the outside world feels a little bit normal. We've gone from a global pandemic to now a world with war, inflation, and uncertainty. Over the years of being involved in and supportive of this community, though, I can tell you that you never know what's going on in the outside world if we were the only exposure to it. This group is resilient, collaborative, supportive, and empathetic. This group is a community that I live in, work in, send my kids to school in, volunteer my time in. Every day I realize that this group, this community, is the only normal that we need. As we go through another challenging period, as my 8-year-old daughter says, you do you. And I have no idea where my 8-year-old daughter picked that up. But don't change. Don't try to be what you're not. Don't overreact to the current environment and sacrifice what you've done to get here. Because of every one of you, we will continue to be a great community. And because of all of you, we'll be back here next year with the same normal that our world needs. So continue to do you, as my daughter Elena says, and never change that. So again, I'd like to thank you, and now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Stephanie. Oh, you're right here in front of me. So Stephanie Posey, Posey Law in La Grange, again, Vice President of LGBA, taking over for Sarah. So I wish you success in your future presidency, and I want to thank you as moderator and introduce you to kick this off. So thank you.
Hello, I've reached that age where I have to have readers now, so good morning / afternoon, we're at that point now. I'm Stephanie Posey of Posey Law Group. I'm a small business, real estate, and estate planning attorney. I also describe myself as a mom, a lawyer, and a lover of community. And as Ryan mentioned, I'm a member of the LGBA Executive Board. This is one of my favorite events that the LGBA puts on every year, and I'm really excited to moderate this panel today. I love this event because it provides unique access to prominent community leaders and thinkers like our panelists today. So last year I stood before you and I described 2021 as the year of the pivot from the dumpster fire that was the pandemic in 2022, or in 2020. Oh my God, not 2022, please, not 2022. 2022 has been about operating under the new normal and figuring out what that is and what that means. Our goal for our panel today is once again to find inspiration and innovation. And the format, as always, is that our panelists will each be giving a 10-minute presentation, and then we will have some time for questions afterwards. There should be some index cards on your tables. Please write your questions down, and we'll collect them at the end. And so now, without further ado, I will introduce our panelists, and they can walk up through that door and just find your seat. So our first panelist is Mark Kukler. He is the village president for the village of La Grange. Mark was appointed to serve as village president, and this is no joke, in February of 2020, and has served as a village trustee since 2007. He's a founding partner of the trial law firm Ronaldson and Kukler in Chicago, receiving his law degree in 1991. He is also a certified public accountant. Mark's background includes legal advisor for the Office of Illinois State Comptroller's Merit Commission and hearing officer for the Office of Illinois Secretary of State Motor Vehicle Review Board. In addition, he's a member of many bar associations. Mark is a longtime resident of La Grange, where he and his wife have raised 4 successful children. Our next panelist is Illinois Speaker of the House, Emmanuel Chris Welch. Speaker Welch has served as state representative in the Illinois General Assembly since January of 2013. In January 2021, he became Speaker of the House of Representatives, the first Black lawmaker to hold that position. As state representative, he is focused on improving classroom education, creating jobs, streamlining government, and helping the most vulnerable. Speaker Welch was the chief sponsor of several pieces of historic legislation, including making Illinois a welcoming state for immigrants, the Homeless Bill of Rights, and the historic Illinois Trust Act. He has been a leading voice for adding Black and brown people to the boards of publicly held corporations after sponsoring landmark legislation that requires Illinois corporations to annually disclose their board composition. Speaker Welch is a graduate of Proviso West High School, Northwestern University, and the John Marshall School of Law. He and his wife, Shantae, have 2 children. Please welcome Chris Welch. Next, we have Susan Gotham, who is a human resources professional. Susan has over 20 years of experience in human resources and recruiting, with a proven track record of success in helping small businesses grow to the next level through their most important asset, the employees. Her career includes working for staffing giants like Robert Half and Manpower, expanding the Chicago market for Target stores, and owning her own HR consulting and recruiting business. She recently became the director of human resources for a growing custom automation integrator. And Susan is a graduate of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, as is our own Cheryl Vargas, who I don't think is here today, and has served as president of the Chicago chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners. Susan has a passion for small business advocacy and has met many local and national leaders in support of better opportunities for small businesses in Washington, D.C. and locally. We also have as our final panelist, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson, who is the CEO of Tivoli Enterprises. Tivoli Enterprises are the operators of classic cinema, including our very own La Grange Theater, the Tivoli Bowl, Tivoli Hotel, and numerous real estate holdings. Chris started as an usher in 1980 when Classic Cinemas was a one-screen operation in Downers Grove. And as a Downers Grove native, I'm pretty sure Chris probably handed me my ticket when I saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off like 100 times. He worked in almost every capacity along the way to help grow Classic Cinemas into a 16-theater circuit with 137 screens. He's an executive board member of the National Association of Theater Owners in Washington, D.C., the board president of the National Association of Theater Owners of Illinois, and a vice president of the National Association of Concessionaires in Chicago. Chris has posted his business philosophy on LinkedIn, which is, I believe the guest experience outshines everything, and I endeavor to make Classic Cinemas the destination of choice. Thank you, Chris, for joining our panel. So please enjoy our panel discussion. Mark, we will start with you.
Thank you. I hope I didn't ruin the sound. I'm a little intimidated by this great panel up here, and congratulations to the LGBA for having the speaker come. What a great thing for the members, and it's a great honor for our communities that you came. I know that you're a regular out here, but we do appreciate it. And I also want to congratulate Sarah on a great year of running the LGBA, and Stephanie, wishing you all the best. And of course, as everybody in this room knows, Nancy Cummings does so much of the work behind the scenes to make sure that this event and so many of the events that occur in La Grange happen. So if we could give a round of applause to Nancy. I'm joined this afternoon with Trustee Beth Augustine. Beth is a great leader in our community and works with all the trustees. So all the accomplishments I'm going to discuss today really start with the board and then our professional staff. It's fantastic. And in that regard, we have Police Chief Rob Wardloff in the back and Fire Chief Terry Vavra. If we could give them a round of applause. As everybody knows, our first responders, sacrifice so much, and they do such a great job. We appreciate what they do, making our communities safe, making our businesses safe, and so thanks for that. I'm also joined by Charity Jones. Almost, if not everyone in this room knows Charity as our Community Development Director. She does a tireless job in that role, but since the summer, she's been acting as our acting village manager and has just been fantastic as our village manager. So many in this room have come up to me and said, wow, how do you keep her? How do you keep her as village manager? And I believe her husband and 2 young children would say, we want mom back, we want wife back. So we did, and we are in the process of doing a search for a village manager. We utilizing GovHR. They've received over 58 applicants for the job. We're excited as that screening process goes on. We're confident that we'll be getting a great village manager. There'll be very big shoes to fill, even though they were just temporary by Charity. So thank you, Charity, for all the hard work that you do. And there's Nancy in the picture. So that just shows you that she's, always around town and always working. So to start, we are continuing to work together with our business community for marketing and promotional campaigns to engage in conversations about new ways we can continue to support our businesses, you folks. I think you'll all agree that the entire business community benefits from our aggressive marketing and promotional campaigns, and we execute those in partnership with the LGBA. We also both rely on Ribson Communications, and Ribson's done a fabulous job. Every year, these efforts result in over tens of thousands of views on social media, numerous on-air broadcasts, and print news articles. We've continued to reap benefits from our newer partnership with Visit Oak Park through their website, news broadcasts, social media advertising, and they're continuing to work to broaden our appeal regionally, and we think that's wonderful. We look forward to deepening these partnerships as they go forward. La Grange has welcomed over 25 new businesses in the last year. And one of my favorite things about being village president is attending the ribbon cuttings. And it's because you get to look in the eyes of the business owner, the families that have pooled all their resources to open their dream. And they're so excited. They're nervous, but so excited about the future. They finally got through all the permitting processes. They're ready to give their product, and it's wonderful. I would encourage all of you to come out and to the ribbon cuttings. You'll see that energy. It'll remind you of when you opened your business, why you opened your business. And I think it'll energize you like it energizes me. So it's just fantastic. Some of the new businesses we've had this year are Crumble Cookies. Can't believe it. People are getting cookies till midnight, but they're doing fantastically. Fort Sons Mercantile and Jack's West End. LGBA had 2 ribbon cuttings on the same day for men's boutique stores, and that's just wonderful and a great addition. Chad's Cheesecake, Express Med Spa, West End Vision, Le Mans Kitchen, amongst others, have come and opened successfully in La Grange. We're planning soon to cut the ribbon for Five and Dime brick and mortar. Also, Zazu, which is going to be a men's salon barber shop at 31.5 South La Grange Road. That space has been vacant for a long time. We have this vibrant retailer coming in, and that's fantastic. Pet Supply Plus is going in where Pier 1 was, another spot that was hard to fill for the village, but we've done that. And we're excited. It's going to be a great addition to our town. Lastly, Wooden Paddle is coming to town shortly. They're out of Lamont. They specialize in pizza as well as banquet facility, and they'll be a great addition to our business. We're grateful for all these people that are making that investment, but we're equally grateful for all the existing businesses we've retained in La Grange. There's been a lot of challenges, as everybody knows, the last couple of years. But our businesses have persevered, have survived, have flourished, and we thank them. On this panel, obviously, Chris Johnson from Classic Cinemas, and it's exciting for me to be able to talk briefly about that before Chris talks. He came in working with John Rock and Dan Chop to revitalize the movie theater. It had needed an investment. And they expressed a willingness to look at it, kick the tires, and come in. There was issues on the financing and how to work, and the board came up with an idea for a public-private partnership. Really, I believe, maybe the first in the country for a movie theater. Chris could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the idea was that we would have an entertainment tax, 50 cents a ticket, but half of that would get rebated back to Classic Cinemas. As people may know, and this would probably go into Chris's speech, but movie studios don't charge per film. They get a percent of the ticket sales. It's about 50%. So this tax, Classic Cinemas getting the revenue that they normally would get on a ticket sale, but we're getting, the village for economic development is giving a small portion of what the studio would otherwise get. It's a true win-win for our community, for the movie theater. And that's how these public-private partnerships should work. So I'm excited. I think Chris is going to have some statistics on that. La Grange is benefiting. We're getting money for economic development. We're getting money so that we can bring it back to help and support your businesses. The village continues to invest in the physical environment that supports our local economy. We're currently in the second phase of ongoing streetscape improvements in the Central Business District. The new pavers, sidewalks, and crosswalks will not only look great, but also improve accessibility by removing the potential hazards. We're fortunate to receive a grant from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. We appreciate Speaker Welch and his work down in Springfield to secure these type of grants. The village seeks to advance infrastructure investments throughout our community, and will continue to look for grants. We're pursuing all of avenues to provide flood relief. I know many of you live in town or nearby. Flooding is an issue throughout the western suburbs. We are involved in litigation against Lehigh Hanson Quarry. We have a trial date of October 24th. I'm hoping that trial date sticks. I'm hoping that we're able to go to trial. I'm confident that when the court hears our case, we'll be successful. And again, we're proceeding full speed ahead. We continue to petition the county, state, and our federal leaders to implement regional solutions to our flooding. And that's really how we're going to find a long-term success or solution to our flooding problems. The village board has increased funding for replacement of water and sewer infrastructure. A lot of our infrastructure is over 100 years old. Replacing water mains in conjunction with neighborhood street reconstruction projects provides us economies of scale and modernizes our aging infrastructure. Last year, we repaired or resurfaced Elm, Maple, and Goodman Avenues. This year, we're doing Edgewood, Brainerd, and Shawmut. Now that I'm mentioning Brainerd, you may have heard BNSF Railroad is closing Brainerd Avenue from October 6th to October 16th. I personally find that to be ridiculous. I feel that since LT North High School is right there, it's a project that should have been done over the summer. The railroad says that due to strikes, they were unable to do so. I believe they should have waited till next summer. We as a village told BNSF that we have to tear up all of Brainerd Avenue next summer. That when we tear up that, we're going to put a water line through Brainerd Avenue underneath the tracks. Work with us so that we can do this construction together so that it makes sense. And BNSF Railroad said, we're a railroad. We don't have to. We told you in July we're doing this, and that's all we have to do. They called that communication. I don't call it communication, but unfortunately, they're doing it. So we're going to have to put up with it. We're going to make sure that our students know that they cannot cross that area, know that they're going to have to walk, round trip approximately a mile out of their way. It will be an inconvenience to the commuters, but we'll do our best to make sure that it's safe. The village, again, as I was saying, we're a highly walkable community. We continue to work on that. We want to be the most desirable location for both our residential and our commercial development. And our construction activity remains brisk. One of our big residential projects was the Masonic Home Project at 47th and East. It was completed ahead of schedule. It's selling out, so it's a great job. In response to our growing demand for online and remote options for building permits and other village services, we're currently implementing new software that will streamline and modernize the process. I know that when you're looking to remodel your stores, your businesses, processing, permitting is an issue. We're trying to make that as streamlined as possible, and we'll continue to roll out programs that streamline it. The village is always looking forward to the future. We're currently engaged in two important planning processes to help guide us. They relate to parking and land use. The village has hired Sam Schwartz Engineering to currently conduct a comprehensive assessment of our parking dynamics in the Central Business District and West End. If you haven't heard from them and would like to get involved in giving input on the parking study, please contact the village. We'll make sure that you get in touch. They want to hear from you on what you would like to see as far as parking changes. Through a grant from the RTA, the village is also currently seeking a consultant to update our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is the village's key long-range planning document to support the community vitality. Both these projects rely on extensive community input. And again, please, if you can, share your thoughts. All of these efforts and improvements are made by careful financial stewardship. Last year, and for the past 27 years, the village has received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. The award is distinctive achievement and reflects La Grange's unwavering commitment to the highest principles of government. And because of the strong legacy of sound financial planning, the village has healthy reserves and is well positioned to meet our future challenges. Our community is fortunate. We have great residents that want to get involved. We have great schools. We have great faith houses and churches. But really, what's special is our business community. Our business community is fantastic. You guys and girls, everyone, you people are fantastic. We do appreciate it. Even if I botch my speeches, we appreciate it. No, and thanks. We are the best downtown, and we're the best downtown because of each of you. So as I end, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
Am I next? All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. I want to thank Nancy Cummings for inviting us here. Good to be here with the village president, Mark Kukler. Honestly, I spend so much time in La Grange with my wife and kids. I feel like he is my mayor. We spend a lot of time in your downtown, Mayor.
We appreciate it.
A lot of great restaurants, and you can't have an art fair that we don't show up at. It's definitely one of those things we mark on the calendar and make sure we're there. Always good to be in attendance at events like this. Always great to see friends. And it seems like every time I come to an event, there's a new professional that I hire. Because a couple of years ago, Dr. Boyce, where did she go, Doctor? Did she go back to cracking backs? You need a chiropractor, go see Sarah. My whole family goes to see her. If you need an accountant, go see Don DeVort. I hire him for everything. I got to tell you, if you need a professional, you can find him at the La Grange Business Association. So it's always good to be here and to see all of my friends and vendors. Thank you. But honestly, I genuinely enjoy these forums because it really allows me to have direct conversations with the people that I represent in Springfield. In order to do my job, I honestly have to get out and be accessible to all of you and listen to what you have to say and take that back to my colleagues and make sure I'm conveying that message when we're in the midst of developing policy. I honestly believe that you're a direct line of communication from community leaders to policymaker. And that's the type of input we need to truly make a difference for the people of the Grange and the rest of the state. We have to be able to access our leaders and make sure folks know what's happening so that when we're developing policy, we can say we're hearing it directly from the folks in the trenches. I want to make sure I leave plenty of time for questions or comments, but I do want to discuss a few things that we've accomplished in the legislature recently. I've been speaker now, this is my 20th month as Speaker of the House, but my 10th year as a state representative. And I want to talk first and foremost about our state budget. In the last 4 years, I think we have come a very long way. I asked this question a lot. It was posed by Ronald Reagan several years ago. Are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? And I asked that question because I like to put it in perspective. 4 years ago, our state went through an unprecedented 736-day budget impasse. That budget impasse wreaked havoc on every single sector of our state, and our credit ratings were at near junk bond status. As business owners, as individuals with credit scores, you know what junk bond status means for your business or your family. It's not good, and it costs more money to do business for the state. And for the last 4 years, we have had balanced budgets, 4 balanced budgets in a row. And for the last 2 years, we have ended the last 2 years with surpluses. And I got to tell you, the budget success would not be possible without the governor and the General Assembly working together. It's not easy managing a group of legislators all with different ideas and trying to make sure they don't spend every dime they see. And getting them to buy into the belief that fiscal responsibility should be a top priority is not an easy thing. but they're buying into it, and they're seeing the results of the hard work. Illinois is getting its fiscal house in order, and bond agencies are looking at us differently now. We haven't received 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. We've received 6 credit upgrades in just the last year and a half. And we still have a long way to go, but we're not going down. We're going up. We're going in the right direction. 6 credit upgrades is something that we should all be proud of. We've eliminated our bill backlog 4 years ago. Are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? 4 years ago, we had $17 billion in unpaid debt. And all of that debt is paid down. We're paying our bills on time. People who did business with the state of Illinois were lucky to get paid 4 years ago in 6 to 9 months. Now bills are getting paid within 30 days of submitting them. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that we're actually even making extra payments on many things. And one of those things that we're making extra payments on is our pension problem. How do you fix your pension problems in Illinois? Number one, pay your bills. Pay them on time. Be responsible. Just like we would be at home, we got to pay our debts. And that's what we're doing and getting our fiscal house in order. And for the first time in over 20 years, Illinois has a rainy day fund. We had not had a rainy day fund, Mayor, in over 20 years. And now we have well over $1 billion in that rainy day fund, and we're going to continue to add to it. And it's because of this financial stability that this year, with inflation, we were able to provide some much needed relief to Illinoisans. $1.8 billion in tax relief for working families. And what did that break down to? We froze the gas tax. The increase that would normally go into effect on July 1st has been frozen, saving Illinoisans $70 million. We doubled the property tax rebate to save up to $300 per household for a property tax rebate. Many of those checks should have arrived already or will be arriving soon. And because we've also sent direct checks to families that didn't include just the property tax rebate, but also rebates for income tax purposes. And this year, we permanently expanded the earned income tax credit and increased funding for our local governments for the first time in a very long time. The mayor will tell you they come down every year arguing to increase the LGDF. The LGDF, the Local Government Distributive Fund. That is a fund that was created in 1969, 1970 as a promise from the legislature that if Illinois instituted an income tax system, local governments would receive a portion of those dollars every year. And local governments had not received an increase in those dollars in over a decade, but they did for the first time this year. And that's only going to continue to increase, because if the state does its part to help local governments, that helps local governments hold the line on raising things like property taxes. And so I'm proud that we were able to do that, and we're going to continue to do that. As someone who comes from local government, I really understand what they're going through. We've been putting money back into the pockets of hardworking Illinoisans, and this allows them to spend that money the way they want. If they need to go to a local business in La Grange, they have the money to do it. And that's going to spur more job creation in local economies. That's going to foster entrepreneurship. And we recognize that in the legislature, and we want to continue to support our local business communities by doing those types of things. You know, specifically here in La Grange, I've been a consistent champion of a number of things, not just in La Grange, by the way. Half of my district is La Grange Park, and a lot of assistance is provided to La Grange Park as well. And so I've been a big champion of this entire region. A couple items I just want to mention is that the La Grange Public Library receives it's become an annual grant because it's been for several years now, $25,000 grant to help with costs associated with needs to offer to the local community, something you should be aware of. Also, the La Grange community, I was proud to support a budget that included nearly $500,000 in capital bill infrastructure. That's money coming from the state that won't have to come from local taxpayers. And as we gather here today, in person and in this room maskless, it feels like, you know, we're not completely back to normal, but we're certainly headed in the right direction toward normal after a very strenuous couple of years dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, that pandemic was really difficult for all of us, but we know how challenging it was for local businesses. And I think you're still dealing with some of those lingering challenges. And so in the legislature, we tried to pull every lever and allocate as many resources for relief as possible. And I was proud, just in La Grange, this number is just in La Grange, I'm proud to say that local businesses received over $300,000 in funding from our business interruption grant program that we created in the state budget. That doesn't include the dollars that businesses in La Grange Park received, or the village of Westchester. The 7th District businesses did quite well. We made sure that we promoted those programs frequently. The Business Interruption Grant Program was one of them. We called it the BIG program. And then a follow-up support for small businesses was called Back to Business Grants, which the district did quite well. In case I haven't said it to you personally, I want to take this chance to offer my sincere gratitude for all you did for our communities during the pandemic. It was not easy. It was certainly a challenge for all of us, but we're certainly headed back to normal in large part thanks to all of you. And so thank you. And if there's one thing this pandemic proved, it's the meaningful role that our local leaders play in our day-to-day lives. And I think we all can say that Mayor Kukler and his administration and La Grange Business Association, everyone really stepped up to the plate and pulled together for the good of this community. And so thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the village officials. And thank you, La Grange Business Association, for all you did. And thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you all so much.
I actually get the remote. I don't know. It's like my household. I always get the remote. All right. Hello. My name is Susan Gotham. I am very honored to be here and to be asked to be on such a distinguished panel. I am going to talk about human resources. But first of all, I do have to thank my current employer. I've only been there 4 weeks and they allowed me to leave, go on a little field trip. So they said I had to plug them. So I work for Westech Automation Solutions. We actually provide custom and unique automated solutions for manufacturing organizations. So let's talk about the state of human resources, where we're at right now and what's kind of in the future. First of all, let's be real. Human resources is hard. It's hard right now, right? Yes. It's okay. I love my job. I do it a lot and I love it. But I do want to talk a few things about what small businesses are facing, boosting, kind of your recruiting efforts and some of the things that you can do, some things around retention, and then also some of the trends we're starting to see in 2023. And of course, LinkedIn gives me some good news on my way in here that I don't have in a slide. So we'll talk about that too. So first of all, I want to let you know that all the small business owners here in the room and those who might view this later, I want you to know that you are in a good company because everybody is struggling with recruitment. This information all comes from the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses Q2 results. But 67% of small businesses are currently hiring, but unfortunately that's down from 2021. Might be because some people have given up. 87% of those hiring say it's difficult to find qualified talent, but this was the number that really was a punch in the gut to me. 97% of those hiring that had difficulty said it was impacting their business. How many of you in this room feel like your business is impacted because you don't have the right talent? Raise your hand. It's okay. Yeah, this is a serious situation. On top of that, 97% of companies with revenue under $10 million have struggled. 87%, 98%, I'll get on to the next slide here, 98%, I wasn't even good with the remote, sorry. 98% of the companies with revenue under $1 million struggled. That means that like most small businesses, a lot of our Main Street USA businesses are struggling to find talent. Hospitality, leisure, healthcare, education, and distribution struggle the most to hire. Again, this hits home. I know based on what the village president said and some of the new businesses coming in, this is hitting to the heart of La Grange. And 59% of businesses have increased their wages in order to attract talent. So here's where we are with recruitment. So what do we do about this? How do we get over this, right? So here are some top tactics. I want to tell you, I employed all of these. In my last job, I grew a company over 30% in this horrible, hard employment industry right now, right? It's hard to find people, but you have to be diligent. And some of these things might be some things that are new and different and maybe a little hard and scary, but are things that are going to work for you. First of all, emphasize your company mission, vision, values, and culture. That's what people want to know. You can be an accountant anywhere. You can work in customer service anywhere. You can be a lawyer anywhere. What's unique about your company? Share that, say that, give them an exciting reason to work for your company, right? Even you could work at any movie theater, right? But you want to work here because you get to be a part of an exciting entertainment and somebody's good night out.
Thank you.
Right? I just helped him. All right. You want to quickly respond to candidates and offer competitive compensation packages. It is very important that you are responding quickly. I have a habit of looking at all of our job postings the first thing in the morning when I first come into work. It's the first thing I do. Don't talk to me. I don't care that you have a problem. I'm recruiting right now. Around lunchtime, sometimes it's while I'm eating lunch, but around lunchtime, again, I am doing that. And then that's the last thing I do before I walk out the door. Minimum 3 times. And then at multiple times during the week, I block out 2 hours of just power recruiting. That doesn't include the interviews and the back and forth and all of that, but it's to create speed and to create that effort to be able to respond very, very quickly. In addition, I added things like technology, like Calendly, so that somebody, if they're interested, I can immediately send them a link, say, hey, we're interested in you, you're interested in us. Boom, you schedule your interview, let's go, right? Getting them excited and in the door. Again, competitive compensation packages. That doesn't mean just dollars. What else do you offer? Do you offer benefits? Do you offer some flexibility? But you still want to be competitive. Demonstrating diversity up front. This is something that's still very important. And while diversity might not necessarily be reflected in the color of the skin of everybody that works for you or the gender of everybody that works for you, demonstrating what type of diversity you might have. You want to be able to talk about that because candidates want to know that they're going to be included in everything. Providing insight into career advancement and development is really key. Small businesses, this is your bread and butter. This is the cool thing that sets apart small business from large businesses. You don't have large silos. You don't have cashier 1, 2, and 3. You don't have accountant 1, 2, 3, and then senior accountant 1, 2, 3. You don't have these big structures, right? You have the opportunity in a small business. If you raise your hand, you get to have career advancement. Be prideful of that when you're talking in recruitment efforts. Offer training to either critical job-related functions or for soft skills. If you can't find it, make it. build it, right? Find those people that are talented enough to work within your organization but might not have the skills. Somebody, if you can't train them, you can send them out pretty quickly and somebody can train them. And now you've developed your own team, as well as offer times for soft skill advancement, whether that's through technology, you're doing, a lunch and learn internally, calling on speakers, whatever it might be, but definitely your team wants to be developed. And then you want to provide flexibility. Now everybody thinks flexibility is work from home, right? But that's not necessarily what flexibility has to be, because you can't pop popcorn from home, right?
Yeah.
Chris is going to tell me that, Susan, I'm sorry, you can't
Yes.
pop popcorn from home. And sometimes you can't be a bartender in a restaurant from home, or you can't tend to the register of a downtown location. I think you have some men's fashion stores, right? You can't really sell men's fashion from home. So what does flexibility mean? Because it's not necessarily always going to be a hybrid work, but it's working with your team to identify their schedule and their needs so they have that flexibility to do the things that they want. One of the things that the COVID-19 and the pandemic did was it raised awareness for people to want to be able to take care of their family, whether it's their children or their parents or elder care. We need to be able to provide that flexibility, but it doesn't necessarily just have to be work from home. So how do we boost retention? So we got them here, right? Whoa, yay, we've got these employees. I also don't want my employees to leave, right? So you want to make sure, number one, increasing communication between employees and supervisors. I have been in human resources for over 20 years. I have recruited and interviewed people for over 20 years. What do you think the number one thing people tell me why they're leaving their job? They don't have communication. They have no idea what's going on in the company. They have no idea what their supervisor thinks of them. They have no idea what the career advancements are. They have no idea why they're doing what they're doing for a customer. So it's so important that you increase communication. Also, have a stellar onboarding process. Do you know how many times you lose an employee in the first 90 days? More often than you think. You have worked so hard, especially right now. You got the candidate, you gave them a competitive offer, you did everything that Susan told you to do to recruit. You get them in the door, and then you forget about them. Right? We got to make it a big deal. This is your honeymoon phase. This is your time to make people feel welcome within your organization. So it's very important that you're focusing on that. Offering training and skills the employees want to develop, and this sounds familiar already. Having regular conversations about job satisfaction and growth. You should be sitting down with your employees not once a year when you're doing your annual review, but on a regular basis. Are you satisfied here? What can we do to make it better? What ideas do you have? Where would you like to see your career go? Right? These are some important conversations to have. And then utilizing peer groups to maintain business norms, safety, or quality. It shouldn't always have to come from management. It should come from within. And when employees are given that autonomy to do that and that leadership to do that, they're going to help you to drive your business and drive your culture, because you want a culture that people want to come to every day. So what's ahead? What does 2023 look like? First of all, hopefully no more worldwide global pandemics. But here's a big thing I want you all to remember. All of those tax incentives, I know Chris just talked about some really great ones that people got, but many of the federal tax incentives are going away or they're gone. PPP is gone. We've spent all of our PPP dollars, right? The employee retained tax credit, mostly gone because majority of us had a good 2021 and we're not going to be able to take advantage of that. But what does that mean for you, for small business? It could mean, though, you might have more opportunity to hire more people. Why? Because the large companies that utilize those taxes to keep employees hired at higher rates are starting to lay them off. We're starting to see that in human resources. We're starting to see that layoffs are starting to happen. And so this might be a way, unfortunately for those individuals, but fortunately for small business, to be able to start attracting talent and be competitive again. Raising salaries are still going to occur. Inflation hasn't ended. Supply chain hasn't ended. Our supply chain issues haven't ended, and they're not forecasted to. And our employees out there know that, and they're savvy, and they now know that they can still ask for more. Succession planning will be critical for success. If you do not have redundancies in your business right now for your critical positions, I urge you to go home or go back to your business and create those plans now. Because hiring is a challenge. We know that not being able to hire impacts your bottom line. So if you lost a critical person in your business, how would you move forward? Flexibility is still going to need to be key. You're going to have to be flexible with your employees. You're going to have to be flexible in how you do business. And you're going to have to be a little flexible in human resources. Just because human resources works really well in one way for one company doesn't mean that it's going to work well for you. To quote Ryan, who quoted his 8-year-old daughter earlier today, you do you, right? Human resources, it needs to be you do you. And company culture is still going to be the driving force to retain talent. If you build it, they will come, right? We all know that. That is true about the workforce. If you build a place where people want to be, that you have the culture that people enjoy being around, they're going to want to be there. They're not going to be asking to work from home as frequently. They're going to want to do the work, and they're not going to look other places. I did want to share some information that LinkedIn shared with me. For the first time in over 24 months, I think it was, job creation actually slowed. So it is a sign that there might be a potential recession. I don't know, but job creation has slowed. And it dropped. So it used to be 2 jobs for every applicant. It now dropped to 1.7 jobs for every applicant. So for hiring purposes, that's a good thing. I think for business, though, we do definitely want to take a look at that, but that doesn't mean you should stop. If you have a critical function in your organization or you want to grow your organization, still please continue to do that. There are solid candidates out there that are looking for work and looking to join your organization and make an impact.
Chris is going to be our last presenter, and then we'll have some time for questions.
We just have a short video here that WGN did an interview. I thought it was on La Grange, so I think it's appropriate.
There's a lot of action. Hopefully you like the recliners too.
Chris Johnson is very passionate about his line of work.
I have an addiction. It's not golf. It's not drinking. It's not anything. It's opening new theaters.
Johnson opened his 16th classic cinema location here in the historic La Grange Theater after signing a lease with the building's owners.
We put a lot of money back into the theater continuously and keep them clean and updated.
Inside the theater looks like a throwback to days gone by, with painted ceilings and ornate designs. After sitting vacant for more than 2 years, Johnson wanted to preserve the history of the theater, while at the same time providing moviegoers with the latest comforts.
We take like these old facilities and we put in the big recliners and everything, and people say they love the old and the new.
Transformed from a stage to movie theater by previous owners, Johnson's renovations will offer 6 movie screens showing first-run movies while surrounded by a bit of history.
Bringing it front and center, I think people really think it's cool. And at this particular moment, nostalgia is still cool.
Johnson says he fell in love with downtown theaters after renovating the Tivoli Theater in Downers Grove. His father and brother bought the building as a real estate investment in 1978, and the business became a family affair.
So slowly we decided to uncover all of the original relic painting.
Soon Classic Cinemas bought other suburban theaters and started the restoration process. Among them, the York Theater in Elmhurst and Lake Theater in Oak Park.
There was a lot of mistakes in the beginning and a lot of changes over time, actually, just kind of, winged it at first, but now we're kind of the experts.
As the National Association of Theater Owners president, Johnson's been credited with infusing new life into some suburban downtowns with his classic cinemas.
You're bringing back this history, again, 100 years in the scheme of the world isn't much, but a movie palace like this isn't going to get built again.
Chris Johnson, he's one of Chicago's very own.
Thank you very much for having me. My first State of La Grange was last year, and I was a newbie, and it's great to be on the panel and hopefully offer some insights. So before the pandemic, the owners of the La Grange Theater, John Rott and Dan Chop, asked me for their thoughts on how to improve it. I even sold them some chairs and gave them some advice, and then everything shut down. During the pandemic, John and Dan approached me again, and this time they wanted to know if I was interested in running it. I was excited about the opportunity because it was a cool theater that fit Classic Cinema's brand, and it was the location was perfect. But I was scared of the risk. We had been shut down for over a year, and the industry had seemed to change, and I didn't want to jeopardize our entire company for taking on another project. But ultimately, we reached an agreement to share in the risk and worked out a detail with the village, as President Kukler talked about. So we had a self-imposed deadline to open for Top Gun Maverick on May 26th of this year. You might say it was a mission impossible. My team, led by La Grange native Ed Dobbs, worked hard to the bone, but we made it. And we opened 3 screens on that night, and 19 weeks later, we played 34 movies, and we're still playing Top Gun Maverick. I applaud President Kukler, Trustee Augustine, and all the other trustees, staff, and everyone for making this possible. A special shout out to Charity for all her help along the way. I went significantly over budget, but this 6-screen state-of-the-art historic theater with all the amenities you could ask for was worth it. The Google reviews are a 4.5 now, but that's building off since the beginning of time. But they've been through the roof since we opened. And in fact, 30 of the last 32 reviews were 5-star reviews. For comparison, our nearest competitor has a 3.8. People who hadn't gone to the movies in years told me they had gone multiple times. A word of caution now. This is my attempt at humor. Watching a movie in a heated recliner with popcorn and icy, free refills, of course, or a cocktail can cause sleepiness, so you might have to come back. All right. It's lame. Okay. But sadly, I have fallen asleep in the movie sets many times. So contrary to popular belief, movie theaters' biggest challenge wasn't COVID itself. It was not having enough movies to play. Studios held back their movies for a variety of reasons, but when they did release them, the results were positive. In the heart of the pandemic, in December of 2021, Spider-Man: Homecoming was the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time, with 814 million domestic gross and 1.9 billion total worldwide. Top Gun, which opened in May, did 713 million domestically, still going, and 1.48 billion total worldwide. Both of these releases are enjoying a huge at-home success after their theatrical release. You can't make billion-dollar pictures for the home. The economics don't work. And so why would you want to go to a theater when you have a flat screen TV at home, 5 streaming services, you can make your own microwave popcorn? I love my house and enjoy spending time there, but I would go nuts if I had to stay there all the time. So when you decide, hey, I want to get out, that's when you think of downtown, and that's when you think about going to the movie. People want to get out of their house and be around others, be served and cared for, and go where the action is. A movie's biggest enemy is the pause button, the doorbell, the phone, or anything that disrupts the flow. Why would you go to a restaurant when you have a gourmet kitchen? People want to get out and let others serve them, connect with friends, and celebrate special occasions. Why would you go to a busy downtown and shop when you can go online? Well, people want to find unique items, get personal service, and be able to touch and feel what they are looking for. You can't replace in-person interaction. When we started the business, going a long ways back, malls were all the rage, and downtowns were out of favor. But now malls are trying to replicate and capture the feeling of community that downtowns offer. It's hard to do, and that's why so many malls are in trouble. La Grange has a great vibe, and each business builds off the next. You can feel the energy and excitement, and you feel like you're part of something. Our busiest week, going back to July, was 6,342 guests. We only have 304 seats. So if you think about that, that means every seat, every show was 75% sold out. So on the weekends, it was solid sold out. And the point of that is we have the highest occupancy in the La Grange Theater of all of our theaters. And we have a tiny lobby, and we aren't a dine-in theater, which means folks are coming to see a show, go to dinner, have drinks, dessert, shop, walk around and discover all that is downtown. In a study we did earlier in the summer, only 38% of our audience came from La Grange Park, and La Grange Highlands. The rest are from Chicago, Western Springs, Brookfield, out of state, Westchester, Countryside, Lyons, Riverside, Hinsdale, Burr Ridge, India Head Park, Oak Lawn, that seems kind of far, but Berwyn, Willow Springs, and North Riverside.
Orland Park too.
Well, hey, there you go. I cut it off. There was, but yeah, many of your businesses attract consumers from out of town because of your unique offering and collective appeal of La Grange. My hope is not only to increase our attendance, but to continue to contribute to the vibrancy of the La Grange area. Having more people to serve is good for everyone. Maybe we can help expand the viability of the later night, La Grange. Hearing the story about the cookies being open until midnight is great. And I know we've sold probably a few more ice cream cones next door to the theater when our movies get out. We are proud of what we have done and will continue to tweak and reinvest our resources into the theater. We like being part of the community that we serve. And I think with that, we are open for questions.
To our speakers. Let's see. Apparently I wasn't talking close enough into the microphone before. So while we're collecting your questions, I just want to thank our panelists again, and just want to take note of something that I heard that was the common thread or the common theme, is that it's all about community and care, and that is a way to surprise and delight our customers and keep them to come back to La Grange. And I think it comes from our local government officials to create a hospitable environment for our businesses to want to do business here, to our HR professionals who are teaching our business owners how to attract the right talent. And that's wonderful and lovely to hear, because my motto is small is big, and I think that what you guys have shared with us today shows that it really, that's how we will hopefully get through what is not going to be a recession. But I think that's important. So we will take some questions now. Okay, this one is for Speaker Welch. Why do businesses have to abide by the new Illinois Equal Pay Act when we are already abiding by very similar federal EEOC obligations? It's duplicative and onerous, according to this person.
Well, one of the things that we have seen is that there's a lot of instability in Washington, whether it's in Congress or at our Supreme Court. And so what we have to do as a state legislature is, pass state laws that impact our state regardless of what happens in Washington. And I just believe as a dad of a girl dad who has an 8-year-old daughter, that women should be paid, equal to or better than men, and that law is designed to make sure that there's equal pay for equal work. And that's regardless of what happens in Washington. And that's a piece of legislation that I'm really proud of. And when we looked at the data, women were not getting paid what they deserve to be paid. And that's what the goal of that legislation is, equal pay for equal work.
Thank you. Our next question, do you have, and this is for any of the panelists, any favorite websites for hiring employees, such as Indeed, ZipRecruiter? Is there a favorite that has been most useful to you?
We use Indeed. It seems to get the most action.
I'll say it depends on the job. So sometimes LinkedIn is really good, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes Indeed is really good, and sometimes it's not. Again, it's job by job. Definitely utilize also local resources. I'm sure this village has a resource, an underused resource that I love to use, and it's free. And I'm sure the speaker will enjoy this. The Illinois Department of Employment Security, they have a job link as well for those who are unemployed. So a great resource as well.
What's interesting is that for jobs on my state side, we find a lot of the applicants come from LinkedIn. On my non-state side, those who are looking to work in campaigns in the political world, most of them are coming from Indeed. And I completely agree. It's just, you got to be on all of them. There's a whole lot of folks out there. They're looking in different places. And we certainly have openings for a whole lot of people. So our goal is to go where we believe the people are. And social media is one of them. And LinkedIn I consider as social media. But Indeed works very well just the same.
If I can also make one comment on that, if you are a member of the La Grange Business Association, you can post your jobs through our website, which you can push out onto our social media channels. We do have a designated URL called lagrangeworks.com, so you can go to that website and it will take you right to the available jobs. Your job's not going to show up though if you don't post it. So if you're a member of the LGBA, log in, click job posting, post your job, the length of time that you want to keep it visible, and it will go out and be pushed out on lagrangeworks.com.
I just want to add one comment. We had on our marquee, looking for work, and we hardly got any applications. We then made a poster outside and put a QR code, and I swear within 2 weeks we had 60 applications. And I couldn't believe, I'm just old, so everybody's walking by and they're just tagging the QR code. I'm like, wow. And we rolled that out at other places, and it was amazing. Obviously, this is sort of entry level, but if you're looking for that type of help, I strongly recommend that.
President Kukler, this is for you. Would La Grange consider another parking garage structure? And this, there's a suggestion maybe at the current parking lot at Ashland.
Thanks. Yes and no. I think that if another garage were to get built, it would probably be in conjunction with a developer. We have been approached, the village has, by developers that say, well, I see that you have a large parking lot. It's not generating any tax revenues. How about you give it to us? We'll build a garage and then we'll control, the first floor or something like that. Different ideas have been proposed, and I would believe that if a garage were to get built in the future in La Grange, it would be a public-private partnership, something like that.
Chris, does the La Grange Theater have the capability to stage live music?
Sadly, only for a very small audience. our biggest auditorium is 106 seats. So when we changed the seating, it used to serve, I think just shy of 1,500, and then it was just under 1,000, and then we went to 304. But now we have basically 7-foot row spacing in these big recliners. So if it was a very small deal, we could, but otherwise, sorry.
Related back to vehicles in La Grange, President Kukler, there's a question for you. What is the progress of placing electric vehicle charges on village parking lots? The closest public EV charger is in Westchester. Businesses benefit, according to this individual, when a car sits charging for 2 hours.
Yes, we are looking at both in our parking structures, as well as there's a recent state grant for private businesses that will allow public parking. And that may be a avenue where we could get some charging in. It's my understanding that Countryside in their village hall has charging stations. So that maybe be the closest public charging station right now. But I know that electric vehicles are going to get more popular. Manufacturers are going to be moving almost exclusively to electric vehicles. So charging, just will continue to get more and more important.
This relates to a question of retention of corporate headquarters. Illinois is growing slowly and losing corporate headquarters to states like Texas and Florida. What is the plan to make Illinois more competitive? Chris, this might be one for you.
Well, let me begin by saying I don't agree with the question because the data does not agree with that question. Just recently, Illinois was ranked for the 6th consecutive year as the 6th best city in America. It's not a hellhole. Chicago was rated the 6th best city in America. The U.S. Census data said that 250,000 people actually moved to Illinois and did not leave Illinois, contrary to the rhetoric that we hear. For the first time in over 5 decades, we actually increased population, not decreased population. And that was largely in the city of Chicago, believe it or not. Over 50,000 people just in downtown Chicago. And similarly, we've seen some businesses leave Illinois, but we've also seen businesses come to Illinois. A significant number of technology companies are investing in Illinois with the development of the Discovery Partners Institute. Illinois is really becoming a destination. And I think as a leader in the Illinois General Assembly, I think one of the biggest challenges that I have is to help us rebuild our reputation, because people have talked so despairingly about our state that one of the reasons I do events like this is because the facts are actually quite different than a lot of what we're hearing. People are investing in Illinois. Illinois is on the right track, and businesses are not leaving here. They're actually coming more than they're leaving. And part of that is because they've seen us having stable budgets, investing in our universities. By investing in our universities, we're producing talent that can apply for their jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed. For 20 years, we had disinvested in our universities. And so when companies were seeing that we weren't even investing in our universities and their future employees, they weren't coming here. But I'm happy to see that trend has turned. And the way we're going to continue is by continuing to have stable government in Illinois and continuing to produce balanced budgets, increase credit ratings, and investment rather than disinvestment.
Okay. I have one last fun question for anyone on the panel or everyone on the panel. What I'm always curious about is, what are you reading right now, or what is your favorite podcast to listen to? Anyone want to take this?
Well, I knew the question was coming from now being on here a couple of years. So I was like, I better look at the book that's on my nightstand and write down the title so I'm not just making up something that somebody can Google and be like, that doesn't even exist. This may have happened in the years past. But I am reading almost halfway through a book by James Patterson. Perry Slotnick is an attorney in New York and never lost a case. And it's about his various cases, from representing mobsters to poor individuals that need a criminal defense attorney to corporations. It's pretty interesting. So it's not one of Patterson's fictional books, but a true story.
Anyone else want to share?
Well, the book that's on my nightstand is actually probably a little too deep for this crowd. I just started a book called American Pharaoh. It's about the first Mayor Daley. And another book on my nightstand is Closer. It's written by a current Illinois appellate court justice who likes to write James Patterson-like novels, and David Ellis. It's a pretty good book. And that one I'm almost done with. Closer.
I listen to books on Audible. Little plug. So I am finishing up actually Promised Land by Barack Obama. Actually, if you have Audible, he reads it, which is great. But very enjoyable because he talks a lot about the inputs that he was getting as he was making decisions as president. So very enjoyable for those who enjoy politics.
So I'm going to take the question and turn it so I listen to industry podcasts, but some great movies coming up. So I just, no, seriously. If you have kids, Lyle Crocodiles this Friday. If you like a rom-com, Ticket to Paradise, George Clooney, Julia Roberts. It's a lot of fun. I actually was in LA last week and I saw Black Adam with The Rock. It was a lot better than I thought. And Till is a movie coming up, which actually give the studio some credit. It's a story of Emmett Till, but they're doing group shows with schools, and they're reaching out ahead of time to get the story told. There's also She Said, which is the Harvey Weinstein story, which looks very interesting. I'm almost done. And then, again, when I was out in LA, there was an interview with Damien Chazelle, who did Whiplash and La La Land and First Man, and he's coming out with this movie Babylon, and it just really looks good. It's kind of a old Hollywood talkie, going from silent to talkies, and just kind of an interesting thing. Again, back to kids, Puss in Boots, and then we have Black Panther and Avatar: Way of the Water. So again, I'm a little lowbrow. I go to the show, but you know.
Thank you so much to our panelists for coming out here today. Also, thank you. These are the credits rolling down. Thank you very much to Plymouth Place for hosting this annual event, and of course to our sponsor, Ryan Williamson of Horizon Wealth Management. Thank you to Larissa Magina, Nancy Cummings, and Lori Donahoe, and our LGBA president, Sarah Boyce, and of course the entire LGBA board for supporting and planning this event. And to all of you, please remember that small is big business, and thank you for your support of the La Grange Business Association. Have a beautiful day.